The death of the 7-day wait. Shared validity sequencing is the engineering fix for a problem the industry spent years ignoring: the fact that Ethereum rollups are currently high-speed silos. Until now, moving assets between an optimistic stack and a ZK stack required a centralized bridge or a multi-day waiting period for fraud-proof windows to close. Shared validity sequencing, or SVS, changes the fundamental unit of the block from a single chain record into a multi-chain commitment. By allowing a single sequencer to produce a block and a validity proof for two different L2s simultaneously, the protocol can guarantee that a transaction on chain A only happens if a corresponding transaction on chain B also succeeds. This is not just a faster bridge, it is the introduction of atomic composability across competing execution environments. Combinatorial auctions and Tazes. In the 2026 landscape, the mechanism driving this integration is the combinatorial auction, most notably implemented through Espresso's Taze marketplace. In this design, sequencers do not just bid for the right to order transactions on one chain, they bid for bundles of block space across the entire cluster. This creates an economic incentive for sequencers to find the most efficient path for cross-chain user intents. If you want to swap a stablecoin on Arbitrum for a token on Polygon in a single click, the sequencer wins the auction by proving they can execute both legs of the trade without exposing the user to the risk of a partial failure. This eliminates the need for third-party relayers and moves the complexity of interoperability from the user interface into the protocol's consensus layer. The Sovereignty Tradeoff. While SVS solves fragmentation, it introduces a friction point for rollup governance. For an L2 to participate in a shared validity set, it must delegate its sequencing rights to a third-party middleware like Espresso or Astria. This creates a tension between performance and sovereignty. If the shared sequencer set experiences a liveness failure, every connected rollup effectively halts. Developers are now forced to choose between the base sequencing model, which uses the Ethereum L1 itself for ordering at the cost of higher latency, or the SVS model, which offers sub-1 second finality, but adds a new layer of trust in a proof-of-stake network. This decision determines who captures the MEV generated by cross-chain transactions and where the actual economic power of the ecosystem resides. The signal under the noise. The shift toward shared validity sequencing marks the end of the standalone rollup era and the beginning of the clustered execution era. By focusing on the atomic composability of cross-chain intents through mechanisms like the Presto framework and combinatorial auctions, the protocol layer is finally catching up to the user experience of a single monolithic chain. This transformation means that liquidity fragmentation is no longer a permanent architectural feature of Ethereum, but a temporary engineering hurdle that is being actively dismantled. The real story in 2026 is not which L2 has the highest TVL, but which shared sequencer network manages to aggregate enough chains to become the de facto settlement layer for the entire ecosystem. As Espresso targets its sub-second finality milestones in the coming months, the industry is moving toward a reality where the boundary between two blockchains is invisible to the smart contract and the end user. Watch for the first major mainnet integration of a ZK rollup into the hotshot consensus set as the indicator that this model has achieved production scale. Subscribe for more.